Derek Lunsford, and Michael Krizo. So those look to be your top 6. I think had Good Vito been in this show, Vito would have also been in this first call-out. Leandro Perez is the guy that competed at the Arnold Classic South America, and he was second to Good Vito there. I think had Vito been here, he would have been in this call-out for sure. Now, I think if you had to put a headline on this Pittsburgh Pro, I think that headline would be "The Mutant is Back." Nick Walker is kind of the story for me of this Pittsburgh Pro. Seeing him come out even in the very first comparisons where they were just numerical order, Nick looks like he's back to his regular self, and that's really exciting to see. I think this is a massive step up over the last time that we saw Nick on stage at the New York Pro, where he beat Martin and it was close. I think this is a little bit of a different story here. I think this show is definitely between Nick and Derek. But I think the headline here, like I said, is that Nick is back. His conditioning was on, and really nobody was really off here, to be honest. I mean, Derek, Nick, and Martin, they all looked really good. Nick, his conditioning was on. He was full as a house. It looked like he brought his waist down. He had better midsection control than he did at the New York Pro. That was kind of a big focal point of criticism on Nick. When he competed in New York, the midsection seemed like it was harder for him to keep in. It was harder for him to control. It was looking distended in some poses. You don't see that here in Pittsburgh. So he brought down the midsection. He was big as a house. He was in really good shape. This reminds me of that 2021 version of Nick Walker when he won that first Arnold Classic. Now, as far as Derek, I think Derek looks good here. I wouldn't say he was as good as he was at the Arnold. I think he's definitely better here than he was at the Olympia in 2024, where he slipped to third. Like almost as good as the Arnold is what he looked here. It looked like he was lacking in the lower body some of that fullness that he had at the Arnold. Conditioning-wise, close to the Arnold, but I still think he was sharper at the Arnold. And with Martin, I think Martin looked a lot bigger here than the last time that we saw him on stage. Fuller, it looked like he added muscle. But I don't think he was quite as sharp as Nick and Derek were. In fact, the way they moved these guys around in that first call-out, Bonac looked incredible, and it looked like there's a chance they might have Bonac over Martin, potentially pushing Martin out of that top 3. As far as Krizo looked incredible. His conditioning was on point. He was full as a house, as big as all these pictures that we've seen on Instagram. Krizo nailed it, but I think the thing was he's just not as complete as Nick, Martin, and Derek, and it seems like Bonac as well. But the other thing was his posing. That really stood out to me about Krizo. His posing really needs some work. The back double pose was one that really stood out to me as one that he just really couldn't open up that pose. It didn't seem like he was holding his poses very long. He was very shaky in a lot of the poses. And I think that's something that really hurts him at a show like this against elite-level guys that are veterans at this, and they don't have these same issues posing. But just based on first impressions here and how they position these guys in that first call-out, there's not a doubt in my mind that right now it's between Nick and Derek. And I want to point this out, too. All this talk about black backdrops. This Pittsburgh Pro is a good example of a compromise.